Tonight, we've got a very special broadcast for our viewers. This is going to be a special edition of John Cullen Investigates. John, welcome back to Monday night. You've been investigating like crazy. Why don't you tell everybody what we're going to do tonight, and then we've got a lot of stuff to get into. How are you?
I'm doing well, Forgive me, I think I forgot to shave. Yeah, I forgot to shave, so forgive me. I'm starting to look like Steve Bannon. Good thing he's in prison, or he'd be chasing after me for stealing his look. So
tonight, we've got a very
special...
I think you've got your browser open there. Special
Killing it.
Edition. There's a lot going on, so
I apologize.
That's okay.
All right, so we have a special episode tonight because we have a special guest with us. A day or so ago, a gentleman from the Pennsylvania area, from the area near Butler, contacted me on Twitter and had been driving around the venue. And he was sharing his content on Twitter. And I reached out to him and said, is it okay if I use some of your stuff and compile it into a video and share this with people? And I said, yeah, of course. And then I said, well, why don't you come on the show and tell us what you saw? So we have a special guest tonight. We got a guy on the show. We call him Tommy. That's not his name, but that's what we call him because that's how we do it here. So Tommy, it's great to have you here on the show. Thank you for joining us. And we're going to show the audience the footage that you shot the day after the assassination attempt. Is that right? Am I getting that wrong? That's correct. That is the day after.
Correct. Yeah, 15 hours afterwards. Thanks for having me, by the way, John. And thank you for the work that you do. It's insane. Like, I don't know when you find time to sleep. You clearly don't.
I obviously don't. So
yes, thank you.
I'm incredibly grateful to have you here. We're going to show the audience your footage. But Jason has some breaking news. Jason has been digging in a bit into a couple of the aspects. And in fact, I think you posted something earlier today, not even 8 hours ago, about an interaction, Jason, that you had with the police department in Butler. Is that right? Did you reach out to the Butler to PD?
Several different police departments in and around, Butler, Beaver Township. There's all these different. I mean, I think and this makes sense, John. This is not New York City, so not every township has a police department that is adequately equipped to have a SWAT team and stuff like that. So it makes logical sense that for an event like this, lots of different units from different counties, different townships were coming together. And I actually spent a considerable amount of time on the phone this morning just getting through the sheriff's department and the Beaver County ESU SWAT team is what I was eventually told is the thing that was stationed inside the American Glass Research building. And basically, this was the SWAT team. So I had an opportunity to speak to Detective Patrick Young, who is in charge of the SWAT team. Let's just listen to the call.
Okay. So I've been in healthcare for 34.
That's not it. That was your channel. Sorry. We'll get the...
That was Amy.
That was Amy. We'll come back to that in a moment, but let's do this. Why don't we have sound coming here? Because the site is muted. There we go.
Detective Young.
Detective Young, this is Jason Goodman. How are you, sir?
Good.
I'm calling, I don't know if you've heard about this, but I believe yesterday, Senator Ron Johnson released a report on the preliminary findings of an investigation conducted by his office, in which he states that members of the SWAT team from Beaver County, which I believe is under your leadership, were on the roof at American Glass Research and photographed the dead suspect. And according to this report, the SWAT operators were instructed by an unknown individual in a gray suit to send the photographs to an ATF agent with a Philadelphia cell phone number. And I was calling, first of all, to ask if you can confirm the statements made in this report, and secondarily to ask, first of all, if that's standard for the SWAT operators to just photograph deceased suspects with their cell phones, or if it would be more normal for the police to send a photography unit. And either way that answer goes, is it possible for me to do a FOIA request or some other similar information request to obtain the original photograph? Because my expertise in digital photography, which is quite extensive, tells me that the image that was ultimately released of the shooter on the roof, which was not released through an official press release of Beaver County or Butler County, this was just leaked on the internet through 4chan or X.com or something like that. And is it possible, my expertise tells me that that photo is not the original photo from the phone. It's not presented in the proper aspect ratio. It doesn't have the same compression characteristics that a modern iPhone or Android phone or even a professional camera would have. And so there's, with this senator's report, the photographs of this unknown person in the gray suit, this odd request to send the image to the ATF, there's a lot of evidence that the photograph that was leaked to the internet of this deceased suspect on the roof has been altered in some way. Are you able to answer any of these questions, Detective?
Who is your news agency you represent?
I'm an independent journalist. I have my own agency called Crowdsource The Truth. There's no particular agency that I represent, but I've been on Fox News, been in the New York Times.
Okay. So the only thing I will tell you is our team is in communication with investigating entities, including congressional members, and that's about the extent I can give right now.
Okay.
So that's where we stand, unfortunately, but I appreciate your due diligence.
Yeah, no problem. So is that a confirmation that you did speak, that there were Beaver County SWAT on the roof of American Glass on July 13th?
I'm just going to stick with the fact that we're in communication with those investigative bodies right now.
Mm-hmm. Is it standard procedure, just a general question, not about the specific investigation, is it standard procedure for SWAT operators to photograph, and would a photograph taken by a SWAT operator be considered official police evidence, or is it more along the lines of a police photographer would go there and photograph the crime scene? How does that normally work?
Depends on the situation.
So if a SWAT operator took a picture of a suspect, that could in fact be official police evidence?
If any police officer took a photo, it would be official police evidence.
Got it. And is it possible to do a FOIA request to your office or some other office to obtain the original photo taken by that officer on? I mean, obviously the photo was taken by law enforcement on the roof. No journalists had access to the roof, and we can tell by the lensing of the photograph and the proximity to the subject, it had to be taken by someone on the roof, which we only have police and people wearing military fatigues and this unknown individual in the gray suit. Are you familiar with the guy in the gray suit?
Again, I can't really comment on that, but you can certainly do a FOIA request. It would be through Beaver County.
Beaver County, I'll do a FOIA request. And I see that you're a veteran, sir. Thank you for your sacrifice and your work. Was this Iraq or Afghanistan where you were?
Iraq.
Uh-huh. When were you there?
0405 and 0809.
I'm glad you weren't injured. I hope you weren't.
Just my pride.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry to hear you say that, and I appreciate the sacrifices you've made.
No worries, and I appreciate what you guys do. And sorry I can't comment more.
I understand. I appreciate it. I do.
We're just trying to do the right thing by all the investigators.
Thank you, Detective. Have a nice day.
You too. Take good care.
Bye. What did you think of that, John?
Nice job. Nice job.
What did you think of what he said, though? Thank you. Thank you. But what did you think of what he said?
Well, first of all, like you said, this isn't like dealing with New York Police Department. It seems like this guy genuinely wants to share as much as he can. When you ask him about the guy in the gray suit and he gets uncomfortable and he's like, well, I can't really, I mean, all he had to say is, I don't know anything about a guy in a gray suit. I never heard of a guy in a gray suit. What gray suit guy? What the hell are you talking about? Guy in a gray suit? What? No, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. That's all he had to say. If you said to him, we saw a guy in green pants and a yellow striped top that looked like a bumblebee.
He'd probably
Did you
say,
see
what the
that
hell
guy?
are you talking about?
Exactly. He'd say, what are you talking about, Jason? What are you talking about? We didn't have any guy up there with the. So when you mentioned the gray suit guy and he's like, I can't really comment. That's Langley, man. That's not the ATF.
Well, so hang on. So people are
and they all have
commenting.
shaved heads.
People are
All those
commenting,
freaking
and
things.
I agree. Patrick Young was very polite with me on the phone. He didn't have to say anything. People have seen me speak, and there's been lots of conversations I've had offline with police officers who were nowhere near as polite and professional as Detective Young was on that call. We also need to remember, he doesn't know who the hell I am. He could be in direct communication with Ron Johnson, blowing the whistle about all kinds of corruption. And he might say, well, now, wait a minute. Who is this Jason Goodman? I don't know this person. This could be a social engineer trying to screw up Ron Johnson, trying to screw me up. So we don't know. And we should give this guy, like anybody, it should be presumed that what he's just told us is true until it can be proven to be otherwise. And so he said he was in Iraq, 04, 05, and then 08, 09. I put this picture that he's published publicly on Twitter, and people have told me that it looks like he is a sniper on a roof here in Iraq. And it makes sense that if you were a military sniper, that you'd get a job as a police sniper when you come back. But the thing that I wanted to show everybody that I found interesting were his interests. Do you see this, what he's interested in, John? He's interested in the National Security Agency. He's interested in Boeing, Booz Allen Hamilton, Northrop Grumman, FEMA, U.S. Secret Service, Customs and Border Protection, DHS, Department of State, Department of Justice, U.S. Attorneys, NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. You want to make a 3D animation of Building 7 collapsing. These are the guys you call. He's very interested in the FBI, the Department of Defense, all of these different things. What is Peraton? I don't know. OPM, the Office of Personnel. The Defense Intelligence Agency, the CIA, and DARPA. These are a vast array of interests here that Detective Young has. What do you think about that?
Again, I know guys like this that were in the service. I know guys who are in the service who end up doing stuff for the agencies because it basically they're cheap labor is what it comes down to. So if you're a Marine, if you're a SEAL, right? If you're, in special ops or something like that, if you're an Army Ranger, the agencies come in and say, hey, we've got a project. We need some talented guys who have skills. We're going into Sudan and nobody's going to know about it. And it's like you're deputized. And next thing you know, you were a Marine, but now you're in a helicopter with a bunch of CIA guys going into Ethiopia. Yeah. And it's like, and then they call you in for another mission. And then they bring you in because they got to interrogate a guy and they kind of need you there. And next thing you know, you're working with the damn agency. Yeah. But you're not getting the big checks. You're not.
Well, we don't know.
One of these
we don't know. But one of the things he was interested in is this thing called Hire Heroes USA. Now, I don't know what this is. This could just be if you're a veteran and companies want to hire veterans. But wouldn't this be a great way to locate the type of operators that you're talking about? Oh, wait a minute. What are we donating to here? See, this is just interesting, the layout of this. Ooh, is this another Act Blue? What are we?
Monthly.
Hang on now.
Monthly. $100 a month is nice.
Can I make a comment about Beaver
Yes,
County?
please.
Please tell us.
Okay. Well, Beaver County is just as deep red as Butler County. The people there are farmers. The policemen there, it does not surprise me if every single officer in there would be a deep red guy. It would not surprise me if they were their upper officers are not. But I do know the area, and I will tell you it is a deep red county. Both of those counties, super deep red. And I really think it would be a tough place to work for someone who was not.
Well, that's certainly, Jason. So what you're sharing with us, Jason, is, to me, what it's illustrating is that as courteous as he was, there's guys that go to Iraq and Afghanistan and they serve their time. and serve their time. They serve their duty. Forgive me. They serve their duty to the country, and then they come back and they reassimilate into society, get some sort of normal job, and that's that. And then there's some guys who are kind of like operators, and they never really give it up. And those are the guys that go work at Blackwater and places like that.
Right.
And the question is he one of those guys? Is he one of those guys that still has one toe in the community because he's following all the agencies, obviously?
And you had some information from Eric Prince with that distant gun. How is Eric Prince getting info from the SWAT team? That's interesting. He knows them.
Yeah. Well, so this Eric Prince thing is really kind of important, and that's one of the things I want to go over with Tommy. So why don't we flip it over to Tommy and let him tell everybody what happened the day after the shooting, and then we'll go into this Eric Prince tweet, because Eric Prince, see if you can pull up the Eric Prince tweet, because Eric Prince sends out a tweet that says that the only kind of thing, grace from God thing, is that a sniper was able to take a 488-yard shot and take out the guy. I don't know if you can pull that tweet up, Jason. I don't know if you can find Eric Prince's tweet on Twitter.
I'm working on it. Keep vamping.
Okay, see if you can find it. So Eric Prince on Twitter, it's Eric with a K, E-R-I-K Prince. So Eric, in fact, if you do a search for, and you know what? I couldn't find it.
Vamp about something other than searching for this, and I'll take care of this.
Because when he typed in 488 yards, this is why I wasn't able to find it. Because he types it weird. He types 488 YD with no space. So if you search for Eric Prince's handle and then 488 YD, you'll find the tweet. I was searching for 488 space yards. There is no tweet from Eric Prince that says 488 yards. It says 488 YD. And that's how I was able to find the tweet. So he points this out, and it's like,
Eric Prince and the number 488, he's got nothing there.
No 488 YD?
Maybe he's got me blocked. It's not finding anything from Eric Prince. Hang on a second. Maybe that might make sense. I am not too keen on Michael Flynn. What's the Eric Prince deal? No, I'm not blocked. I don't see any.
All right, I'll find it. I'll find it while Tommy's telling the story. Let's flip over to Tommy. Let's cue up that video that Tommy sent me the materials. I put it on the Johnny Hoover channel, so you guys can sort of see. This is just sort of an edited together version. In fact, why don't we play 30, 40 seconds of that as sort of an intro to Tommy, so people understand why he's here on the show and why I wanted him to join us. So let's play maybe 30, 45 seconds of this video. What was happening in Butler, I think. What is the name of it? What's the title?
Yeah,
it's on my video.
It's the Butler Farm Showgrounds.
Right, but the title of the video is what is going on.
The day after the shooting Butler, PA.
That's it. So let's start that from the beginning. You're at the end of that already. You're already at the end. You got to go scrub back.
It started at the end for some reason. Ad blockers are not allowed. What?
So strange that there is no one here.
Oh, I saw
There's
this.
no one here. No one investigating. Nothing. There is no one here. All the lights are still on. Everything's still on. I came into the back entrance. Butler Farm Show. Look. Butler Farm Show. And there's no one here. Everything's open. This is
that a raptor, Tom?
No, 150. I wish.
Oh my God. Look, that's where it happened, right over there.
All right, so this is the day after the shooting.
Turn left, then
How
take
are
a
they
slight left turn.
15 hours after.
Strange.
You see the time.
How are they not scouring this area for every piece of evidence?
This is why we're watching this. This is why it's important for people to see this, not just hear Tommy's testimony, but to see the footage that he shot. It's like, where's the FBI? Where's the ATF? Where's all the ballistic sticks? Where's the police tape?
It was like everyone evaporated. Like it was like a Twilight Zone where all of a sudden you turn around and every human's gone.
It's very conspicuous. Tom, did you get to see the testimony from Kimberly Cheadle this morning?
Oh yeah, I watched the whole thing. It was
What
terrible.
was your impression of that?
Well, in her opening statement, it seemed like she committed perjury because she said that there was an immediate lockdown of the area, and that was not true. I'm watching it, and it's in like the first 5 minutes, and she's like, "We had the area secured." No, you did not have the area secured at all. I drove directly up. I was like freaked out that I was allowed to drive this far into this place. It was so weird. It was honestly
Yeah.
like there were shoes, there were books, there were coolers, there were cars, chairs. It was like everyone just vanished. It was the
Wow.
weirdest thing.
And it would seem that any of that stuff could contain trace evidence that would help them.
I thought I don't know what made me do this. Like all of a sudden, I'm like, you know what? I want to go. It's my hometown. How dare them in my hometown? How dare them in my hometown do something like this? So I'm like, I just want to see the fairgrounds. I've been there 5 million times. This is the coolest part where it says "fight" on the road.
Yeah.
Look at this. How could they ever have allowed this? How could this ever have been allowed? Fight. Oh, that's awesome. Look, somebody spray painted fight. With no ladder, nothing.
That encapsulates Butler County. Fight.
Now, let me ask you about this advanced glass research. Obviously, it's a staple in the neighborhood. It's one of these businesses that sort of everybody looks at and knows it's there, but you don't need advanced glass research. So you're never going in there. You really have no idea what goes on, right?
Correct. It's a place you pass every day, and you're like, I wonder what that is. Like, why would that even exist? It's a weird place, and there's never like tons of traffic in and out of it. This is a very common road. This connects like Cranberry, which is a very there's shopping plazas and all kinds of different stuff. This connects Cranberry and Butler. So this one road, that road, it goes all the way into another part. So it's a very, very heavily trafficked road. So I was able to pass this place every day, So the next day I passed, and the only difference was there were cops at the entrances and exits. But I'm sorry, my children are busting in. I'm working. Close the door, please. I'm sorry.
It's cute.
So I'm like, I just wanted to stop and drive by the next day. I never went back in like I did on the very first morning. So it was like 10:30 I got up there, and I drove all the way into the arena in which he was shot.
Now, wait a minute. So that's police tape, right?
Yeah, this is 1 week exactly later. So there's finally police tape, and there's cones there. And when I arrived, there were 2 guys here, and they had a drone up on top of the water tower.
Ooh.
And they
cops or just regular people?
Yeah, no. This was their job. And I asked them, I tried digging. I said, "Who are you? Like, how can I see this video?" And he said, "I sell it to the highest bidder." That's what he said.
Did you get his number?
No, he wouldn't give me anything. I did get his vehicle but
Do you have a drone? Could you go there and put a DJI Mini up there or something?
I did. Absolutely. Yeah. But I do have a lot of people in this region that know who I am. And it's hard for me to do this kind of stuff.
No problem. Well, maybe with working with you, we can find somebody who could put up a drone and maybe, because I know there's some specific things John wants to see on the top there.
Yeah, the same person that told me that there was no ladder used would be happy to help me.
What do you mean that there was no ladder used?
I did not climb up a ladder to get on the roof. The little
side.
hopped
on the air conditioning.
Correct.
Right. He hopped on the air conditioning, and then from the air conditioning to the roof. It doesn't require a ladder. The ladder was the police guys brought the ladder to go up to the roof rather than climb up on the air conditioner. So the ladder was from the cops. So this whole ladder thing was just, it's like the blue hose in the Las Vegas story. It's another distraction to talk about the ladder.
Look at how far they went with it. You had reporting on CNN and Fox that said that this kid went to Home Depot. I called the Home Depot. They had already been briefed. It's amazing how and even this whole notion that crooks flew a drone. What evidence do we have of that? John, you've got a lot of experience flying drones. As I recall from my drone days, you're logging into a DJI app. There's a flight plan with GPS. It knows where you are. You've got a tail number on that thing, at least for a commercial drone. Wouldn't there be some sort of record of the flight of a drone? Maybe
None
DJI?
Yeah, none of it's commercial now. No, I mean they don't.
If it's not
So for
commercial, you mean.
example, yeah, right. So if it's meaning it's available to anybody. If the ones you buy on Amazon, the DJI ones, you don't have to log in to fly them. In other words, you don't have to have online
It's got
access
to
to get
connect
them.
to GPS, though. You can't
To
put it up
GPS,
without
yes.
connection to
Yeah.
the GPS. You're telling me there's
Yeah.
they know. If you do a crime with a drone, you got serial numbers on that thing, IP addresses. I do not believe
Possibly.
that they don't know
Possibly.
who is flying a drone right there. And by the way, even if it's not the type of thing that you normally are able to find out, why wouldn't they get a national security letter to DJI the next day and say, hey, give us all the records for this? The FAA can geofence an area down to inches.
Yes.
I do not believe that they don't know if or who was operating a drone in that area that day.
They can geofence that area. They can geofence the area around the president, right? They have a no-fly zone. You're not allowed
They
to
could.
fly over the Butler Farm show with your Cessna while he's there. There's a no-fly zone that's declared. So these are all important points. Tommy, when you drove past the water tower the next day, so the footage that we see here is a week later. You shot this, I guess, what, yesterday morning, Saturday morning or Sunday morning or something?
Correct. The one
This week.
where I talk about the Ring cameras, because all of those homes on that street, they literally look, and none of them were even like three of the four homes were outside and they were literally doing yard work. I think they were trying to talk with people, and I just walked by. Did anyone?
One question for you before we go to the patron-only portion of the show, where we're going to dig into this a little deeper. We're going to look at the Eric Prince stuff. One of the things that you mentioned in your video as you were near the water tower access road, you commented about a stand of woods next to the water tower, and you said it's like an acre or two of woods. I didn't measure it out, but there's a patch of woods there, and you commented and said, "Look at this cover. This is kind of crazy." Now, there's a lot of people who watch the show that live in big cities, New York City, Los Angeles, whatever, who aren't that familiar with hunting. But out in Western Pennsylvania, a lot of people hunt. They hunt with rifles, they hunt with bows, whatever it may be. And what I said to Jason is, as crazy as it may sound to somebody who lives in New York, to somebody who lives in Western Pennsylvania, they have 2 or 3 climbing tree stands in their garage already because they hunt. And being 20 feet up in an oak tree is standard operating procedure if you're a hunter. It's not out of the question that someone may have been in those woods up in a tree with a gun. It sounds insane, as do helicopters in Las Vegas shooting girls in the head. Sounds insane.
But it doesn't sound insane. It sounds normal.
But when you present it initially and you're like, okay, there's not one shooter. There's a guy in the woods up in a climbing tree stand, and there's a guy up on top of the water tower. Everybody's like, come on with the conspiracy crap. That's insane. Tommy knows the area. Tommy knows the forest. Tommy was right next to these woods, which are right next to the water tower. And what we're going to play when we go to the patron-only hour is a clip from Redacted, Clayton Morris's Redacted. He did an interview with somebody who said they're still looking for somebody over here in the woods.
That's very interesting. I was within 10 feet of those woods, and if there was someone in there being 10 feet away, I still would not have been able to see him. Absolutely no chance. You can't even really walk through this stuff. It's so thick. If you walk through it, you're shredding your entire body with, we call them in Western Pennsylvania, jaggers. You just can't do it. It's impossible. It's so
could
thick.
A sniper get in there with tactical gear? And somebody commented that they wouldn't even need the tree climbing device. They would just climb the tree and do the shot like that.
Yeah, easily. Like the other side of this brush here, that's a different portion of the trees. It's the same trees though, like same style of trees. That area on the other side is all cleared out. You can easily walk into that heavily wooded area easily. Like
from the other side,
Meridian Road is. You can walk in. You could stroll in there with a shopping cart, whatever you want. But you can't see it from the other side. The other side is totally wooded. You cannot see from this side, but this side you could easily walk in. Easily.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's that fight road, the road where I say, whoa, look, it says
fight.
Yeah. that's the same woods. It's the same patch. So if you walked in, it's like a two-way mirror. You can, yeah, here we go. Okay, so that road right where I said fight, see where the T is, where the greenhouse is up and to the left? Okay, here we're okay. So yeah, I walked down the street and then I turned left and walked down that road, right? Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
It almost looks like there's a path through the center of these woods right there.
There are multiple paths. That path
So
continues.
wait a minute. This is pretty interesting. Look at that.
Yep.
Why wouldn't you put a shooter in those woods based on everything you're telling us? People wouldn't see him?
It's insane. It's insane. I couldn't believe it myself.
Is it possible? I think so all we're looking for now, all we're trying to figure out is it completely impossible and it should be ruled out because it's insane? No. Or is it somewhat possible, Tommy, that somebody comes up this access road, one guy goes up the tower, one guy goes up a tree?
Very possible. The one side of the base, I don't even think that there's barbed wire on the left side of the fence. Like I could see it on the right, but I can't see it on the left. There's right at the base of the water tower. When I'm filming it, I'm like, well, look, there's no barbed wire on that side. It's just like you could easily.
Did somebody take it down recently, perhaps? I've been trying to call the CEO of American Water Pennsylvania. It's weird. He doesn't answer his phone. Maybe it's because he doesn't recognize my phone number and he's watched the show.
It could be. Yeah, I don't know. It could be, but yeah.
Is there another water tower near the Butler Farm Show? Is there any other water tower in the vicinity within a mile, or not really?
No. Mm-mm.
All right.
Where the hell?
This is the St. John's Reformed Church. This looks like it's a little far out, and there's too many trees in the way that you can't get a shot to the stage from there. Yeah, that's too far.
Yeah.
All right.
I can't tell. I don't know which side you're on.
Okay. All right. That's all right. So here's the rooftop. This is where the kid supposedly was, or we see a body here is what I should say. Mm-hmm. So, we find a body here. And the snipers that are here, the thing is, after they start taking fire, they're actually aiming a bit off to their right. And you guys will see this in some video that I posted on Twitter earlier today. But the snipers who are up on this roof line here, once they start taking fire, they don't aim off to the left, they aim off to the right. And you'll see that footage on my Twitter feed. All right, Jason, I think we've got to hop over to the patron-only portion of the show. Tommy, I'd love for you to stay with us if you can, if you have time. I know you got kids running around probably destroying everything, but if you can bear with us, we'd love to have you stay with us. Yeah. And we'll be right back with our patrons in just a few minutes. I'm John Cullen here with Jason Goodman and our friend
Before
Tommy.
We cut out. Hang on.
Oh,
Let's just make sure everybody knows where to find us.
Where are we going?
You're going to join us for the sponsor-exclusive segment on subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen, patreon.com/IamJohnCullen, or on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, or subscribestar.com, or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Huge thank you to everybody who supports John, everybody who supports Crowdsource the Truth. We wouldn't be doing this work. We wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for you guys. So this direct-to-viewer sponsorship business model that John and I have been doing for the past 7 years, it protects this information from being shut down by corporate sponsors because we don't have any corporate sponsors. You guys are the sponsors. So thanks to everyone who keeps this show going. Join us. We'll be back in less than